You want that invoice paid? So for starters, I live in a small village where pretty much everyone knows who's who. I like it a lot. It gives me a sense of security that I feel is underrated in today's society. Friends and neighbors help each other with moving, remodeling, etc. My mother-in-law wanted to have her driveway redone. Being the good son that I am, I ordered supplies and got some friends and family members to come and help out on a Saturday. After which there would be some nice cold beers. This is before Corona, obviously. One of my friends, let's call him John, is more of an outlier and doesn't get around too much. He's a bit timid, but otherwise a very nice guy. I thought it would be a nice idea to include John in the working party, so he would get to know some more folks from the village. With the work done and the driveway finished, we thanked everyone that helped for the much appreciated effort. Not too soon afterwards, I receive a letter. It was an invoice sent by John for the hours he worked, multiplied by a not too shabby hourly rate. To say I was dumbfounded would be an understatement. It is well known that this kind of work is for free. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Or so I thought. I come by John's a few days later to ask him what the invoice is all about. He says it's no big deal and that he has done it before. He can't be expected to give up his Saturday to work on somebody else's driveway. He says he thinks this is fair and that he wants to be open about it. I soon understand that John isn't going to change his mind and I don't want to get into an argument with him. I pay John myself because I am rather embarrassed to tell my mill. A few weeks later we are at a get-together where John happens to be too. A friend who had also helped says he is thinking of redoing his driveway as well and asks what the costs were. My mother-in-law sums up the different supplies and their costs, as well as the beers, of course. John is within hearing distance and I see him glance over. Now is my time. I raise my voice a little and I say, "Aren't you forgetting the labor costs?" She looks at me surprised and I add, "Yeah, you know, John's invoice of X amount." That racks up the bill. An uncomfortable silence descends upon the party as people frown and look at me and John, whose stature shrivels under the weight of those looks. Suffice to say, John had some explaining to do. But he didn't look so sure anymore. He wanted to be open about it, right? Under the circumstances, I must say the invoice was money well spent. Although I lost a friend that day. Edit. In the end though, it's all a big misunderstanding which I tried to clear out by speaking to John about it. At which point I explained the point of scratching each other's back to him, especially in a town like ours. But then he persevered and doubled down and I decided to act in the manner I described. B. John was not new to town, just new to my group of friends and family. C. John is not a contractor, but he has useful DIY experience. I actually don't think you lost a friend. An old saying, if you lend someone a tenner and never see them again, it was worth it. I had a friend who would keep asking me for money for some project or another. Never gave him money. Told him to go away many times. Finally, he asked for an amount that I would happily part with to never see him again. Gave him a small amount of cash. Next time he came asking, I reminded him about the amount owing and never heard from him again. Sounds like John would have been more upfront about his needs for payment before working if he were going for transparency and not being a total dick about it. See, the correct response was, "I will pay you in line with your quote." Good MC. You're lucky you live somewhere where you knew no one was going to start complaining about how they didn't get paid. No. John lost a friend when he decided to play fuck games with his favorite MS Word invoice template. I woulda told him I only pay invoices that match the pre-work quotes I received. I've seen this play out a million times. For some people, beer and pizza as the payment in full. To others, beer and pizza as an expected courtesy. But returning the favor later is actually the payment. And then there's people like John who require a more transactional payment. In all cases, it's much better to set expectations up front. John was banking, literally, on the awkward social situation he created to pressure you, your mill, into paying his invoice to keep the peace. Any real friend who really believed that they should be paid in money rather than social capital for weekend labor would have said so when asked to help. Your response was perfect. Send John a bill for the beers he consumed. I've got to know, but did you in return deduct the cost of the beer from John's invoice? Lol. So now if John wants to remodel his anything, suffice it to say, everyone can send invoices to him for labor as well. Open and upfront as saying, sure, I'll help you on my Saturday, but I will expect to get paid. An invoice later is not open or upfront. It's being a weasel. A similar thing happened between my dad and uncle years ago when I was little. My uncle needed a new roof and my dad was willing to help. But the weekend they planned to do it, it rained. Well, my dad set another date and last minute my uncle backed out because he had to go out of town. But expected my dad to do it alone. Well, he did. He also bought supplies because my uncle got the wrong supplies and was short on tiles. My dad spent all weekend doing it alone in the summer. Well, when my uncle got back in town, my dad requested the cost of the supplies he bought and a little extra because he did it alone in the summer. My uncle refused. It caused a rift in my family that never healed. My dad would never go to their house again. He says he thinks this is fair and that he wants to be open about it. If you told everyone that they were coming over to work, and there would be beer afterwards, then he wasn't open about it. You were. He knew what to expect in advance, and surprised you with the invoice after the fact. The proper response to an invoice like that is, no thanks, and just don't invite him again. I would argue you lost a friend the day you got an invoice. This explains why John's an outlier and doesn't get around much. Nice of him to want to be open about it after the work was done. Okay, sign. What does John do for a living? You lost a friend the day he sent you the invoice.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.